Okay, so today we are going to be working on creating our ice castle landscape. So we'll primarily focus on drawing today, using chalk pastels to do some outlining and coloring in. And then next week we'll finish up on the coloring with the chalk and add a little bit of paint, okay? So these are just two examples of different ice castles. So today's I can statement is today I will learn about form so that I can color a castle that looks three-dimensional because of shading and highlights. So it'll look pretty flat initially, but then the shading I'm going to show you will help you get that form, that three-dimensional form. And you'll also have an opportunity to use these sheets here. It gives you some ideas of different windows and doors, flags, the siding of a castle, anything you might need. Do you have to use these? No, they're just that, ideas, okay? So some people like to have a visual when they're drawing. So I've kind of started on mine, but the first thing I want you to do is write your name and your class code, and then turn it over. So what I do want you to notice first is look at how my paper is arranged. It is vertical, so it's tall, because I want to have like the castle in the top third of the paper, and then we're going to eventually have trees and obviously my pathway. So when I started my castle, I just started off with simple shapes like rectangles. So I had like the main part here, then I had a rectangle above it, and above here in the center, and then the two sides, and then I added triangles. But like I said, you can use any of these ideas. So I have a basic detail. I'm not drawing the siding of that building or anything like that because it's just going to be covered up with the chalk. So I just want the basic form, okay, the basic shape. Also, I want you to notice is I have a horizon line right here. So it could be pretty straight, it could be bumpy, and look where it's situated, okay? So here's halfway on the paper, so it could be halfway or slightly above, but I definitely don't want it below the halfway point because I want plenty of room to draw all of the things in my foreground. And then I also have a path, and notice it goes to the door, and it's gonna get wider the closer it appears to you. And that's going to help us give it more of a three-dimensional look as well, because everything close to you is going to be larger, okay? So we have our drawing done with pencil. We're ready for the chalk pastels. So I just take off the lid. They have this foam pieces there just to protect the chalk. It's not used for smudging. It's just for protection, okay? And then obviously these are brand new. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use a white. You can use a gray or a peach or light blue. That works as well. And what I'm going to do is kind of outline my main forms. I'm not outlining my the little triangle portions, the top like roof of mine. I'm just going to outline the main sections to my snow, and I'm going to actually go all the way along there. I'm going to outline where the door is. And I don't know if I'm going to leave all that. I'm going to outline this a little bit darker, so when I'm coloring, hopefully it will show up. So I have this all outlined, and now I'm going to use this to color it in. And as you guys know, because we've used chalk before, it's pretty messy. So right now my sleeve is down. I probably should have rolled it up or pushed it up, okay? But I'm just really lightly using the edge of the chalk to color in my space. And I can still see my lines, not major, but I can still see my lines a little bit through the chalk. And if this bothers you, the messiness, you can certainly take a paper towel and wrap it around the edge, but it does wash off really easily. So I've got my chalk here, and I'm going to use my finger to blend. Notice I'm not smudging it like this. I'm just blending with the tip of my finger here, just to make it fill up nicely and give it a softer like look. And this is like my base that I'm creating, and I'm going to have layers and layers over it, okay? Now I can take like a darker color, so I can use a blue, I can mix blue and red to create a violet. I'm going to go for the blue look. And I am just gonna start in this main area first. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a line where that edge is and then around my doorway. I am not gonna draw a line here, okay? I'm just gonna think of it as like a shadow. So if my light source is coming this direction, or my moon, if it's an evening portion, and then I'm gonna smudge or blend, sorry, my chalk here just on the side. Okay, this is like our first layer. And then you can go like this with your finger, just using the tip of my finger to smudge. If I go a little bit over the edge, I'm not worried about that. I'm gonna show you how to kind of fix that. Then I'm gonna do that to all the sides. So I'm gonna go underneath this roof line because that would create like a shadow. And then the side of my building, my tower, I should say. And then once again, using my finger to smudge. Okay. And then I'd go on here to this next section here. And I'm just gonna do a little section of this so you don't have to watch me the whole time, okay? So that's a good start with the smudging. I can then go here and on the left side of the buildings, add a little bit of highlight. And this one is a little bit sticking out, a little highlight on the roof, okay? I can smudge that. If you notice your fingers are getting dirty, I just fitch and then make sure like my pointer fingers for the blue and my middle fingers for the other, the whites. And then my top part, I'm gonna make it kind of a violet-y color. So I'm gonna go over it first with my red. Okay, and I'm very, very lightly coloring. I use a different finger. Okay, and I would do this on to all of them at the same time. And I'm gonna go into this with blue, because red and blue will make a violet. And smudge that just with my finger, because remember, it's going to kind of go outside the line. And then I'm gonna add, because it's a little darker violet than I want, add a little bit of white to it, just to kind of lighten it up. So I have my little violet, okay? And then I'm gonna use my blue here to kind of, I'm not pressing hard, but I'm giving it an edge, okay? Just kind of cleaning up the sides. I can also use this blue here, or I can mix my colors again, to make my windows. And these I am not coloring in. I am just drawing them. I'm doing like a half circle with a straight bottom, okay? And I can have a little window in here if I want to. I can have little windows here and here. And you're not gonna get tons of detail with chalk, but you're gonna get a nice look to this. And then you keep adding and adding, and you can go back in there and say, okay, that white has lightened. Let me give this an outline again. Maybe I'm gonna have a little edge to my rooftop. And it's all about layering. With the pathway, I do the same thing. I would color it with like the lightest color first, and then you could even use the side of your chalk. And then I can have maybe the right side of the path, since I'm keeping my shadow there. And then maybe I have like a little curve line here on the path. And I'm gonna kind of get the curve, make it a little bit wider the closer it gets to me. And then I can smudge this, okay? And if the shade or color you want isn't dark enough, you just add a little more. I always think it's easier to add light versus dark, okay? So I started off with my drawing. I went over it really lightly with the white first, then I smudged it, then I went and added my other little details just to the right side and the bottom to give it a nice edge, and then smudged, and then like the windows and those little details, I did not add any smudging to it because they're fairly small, and I know my finger would not work very well in those areas. And then you may get like these little crumbs on here. If you do, you just can go like this and tap it over like a trash can. Please do not blow. There's lots of people here with allergies, and we do not want anyone to get sick or feel like they're not breathing okay. Okay, so today we're just working on the drawing, starting with the chalk pastels. If you don't get as far as me, or you come close or farther, that's great. We're gonna leave the background plain and this area right here plain and non-touched today, because we're going to be eventually painting and adding other details.